Most people know Japan has some of the longest-lived people on Earth. What most people do not know is that researchers have spent decades trying to understand exactly why. The answer keeps coming back to the same place: what Japanese people eat, and specifically, what generations of Japanese families have eaten for centuries before the modern food industry arrived. Today we go through 20 foods that appear repeatedly in the longevity research, each one with a history stretching back centuries, and a modern scientific explanation for what it actually does. Subscribe now so you never miss a video like this. Number 1. Natto. Number 1 is natto, fermented soybeans produced using the bacterium Bacillus subtilis var. Natto, and it has been a daily breakfast staple in northeastern Japan for at least 1,000 years. The sticky texture and strong aroma are the first things newcomers notice. What happens inside the body when you eat it consistently is considerably more striking. Natto contains natto kinase, an enzyme produced during fermentation that breaks down fibrin, the protein responsible for blood clot formation. A clinical study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that regular natto consumption reduced cardiovascular risk markers by supporting healthy blood flow at the systemic level. Natto is also one of the richest dietary sources of vitamin K2 in the MK7 form, which directs calcium into bones rather than allowing it to accumulate in arterial walls. Research in thrombosis research confirmed that MK7 from natto improved bone density and reduced arterial stiffness in study participants. One thing worth knowing: natto's high vitamin K2 content can reduce the effectiveness of warfarin and other blood-thinning medications. If you take blood thinners, consult your doctor before making natto a regular food. It is sold in most Asian grocery stores, eaten over rice with soy sauce and mustard. Number 2. Miso. Number 2 is miso, a fermented paste made from soybeans, salt, and the mold Aspergillus oryzae. Aged from weeks to years depending on variety. It has been a dietary staple in Japan since at least the 8th century and is consumed daily by the majority of Japanese adults, typically in the form of a simple morning soup. The fermentation process generates both beneficial bacteria and a range of bioactive compounds that plain soybeans do not contain. A landmark study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute followed nearly 22,000 Japanese women and found that those consuming 3 or more bowls of miso soup daily had a 40% lower risk of breast cancer than those eating it less than once a week. Miso is also rich in genistein, an isoflavone shown to inhibit the growth of certain cancer cell lines in laboratory research, and in short-chain fatty acids produced during fermentation that directly feed the intestinal lining. The probiotic content supports gut microbiome diversity, which has been strongly linked to systemic inflammation reduction and healthy aging in population studies. Miso is best added to soups after removing them from heat, since temperatures above 115 degrees Fahrenheit kill the beneficial bacteria. 1 tablespoon dissolved in hot water with tofu and wakame produces the basic preparation most Japanese families eat every morning. Number 3. Matcha. Number 3 is matcha, powdered green tea made from shade-grown Camellia sinensis leaves that are stone-ground into a fine emerald powder. The shading process in the final weeks before harvest drives the plant to produce elevated levels of chlorophyll and the amino acid L-theanine in response to reduced sunlight. Buddhist monk Asai brought the practice of consuming powdered tea from China in the 12th century, and matcha has been central to Japanese culture for 800 years since. The primary bioactive compound is EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, found in higher concentrations in matcha than in any other green tea preparation because the entire leaf is consumed rather than steeped and discarded. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that green tea catechins increased fat oxidation by 17% during moderate exercise. Research from the University of Michigan found EGCG inhibited the formation of amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease in laboratory models. The L-theanine content, between 19 and 44 milligrams per cup, increases alpha brainwave activity and produces a calm alertness distinct from the jittery effect of caffeine alone. 1 teaspoon of matcha whisked with 70 milliliters of water at around 175 degrees produces the preparation closest to what has been consumed in Japan for centuries. Number 4. Shiitake. Number 4 is shiitake, Lentinula edodes, the most consumed mushroom in Japan and one of the most studied functional foods on Earth. Written records of deliberate shiitake cultivation in China date to around 1000 CE during the Song dynasty, and the mushroom has been central to Japanese cuisine and medicine for over 1,000 years. It is the base of dashi stock, appears in dozens of traditional preparations, and is consumed at virtually every meal level from home cooking to formal kaiseki dining. Shiitake contains 2 compounds with strong research support. Lentinin, a beta-1, 3,1,6-glucan, has been studied for its immune-modulating properties and is used as an adjunct therapy in cancer treatment protocols in Japan. Aritidenine, a compound found uniquely in shiitake, has been shown in multiple studies to reduce LDL cholesterol by interfering with cholesterol metabolism in the liver. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition confirmed that daily shiitake consumption over 4 weeks improved immune cell function and reduced 2 inflammatory markers, CRP and IL-6, in healthy adults eating a standard diet. Dried shiitake concentrates the aritidenine and works well in broths and soups. 4 to 5 mushrooms daily is the quantity used in most favorable research. Number 5. Wakame. Number 5 is wakame, Undaria pinnatifida, the brown seaweed that appears in Japanese miso soup, seaweed salads, and coastal dishes across every region of the country. Wakame has been harvested from Japanese waters for over 1,000 years and is one of the most cultivated seaweeds in the world today. The flavor is mild and oceanic, the texture silky when reconstituted from dry, and a small amount goes a long way in any preparation. Wakame contains fucoxanthin, a carotenoid pigment found only in brown algae. Research published in Diabetes, Obesity, and Metabolism reported that fucoxanthin reduced abdominal fat accumulation and lowered fasting blood glucose in obese patients during a double-blind clinical trial, a finding unusual for a naturally occurring plant compound. Wakame also contains fucoidin, a sulfated polysaccharide studied for antiviral properties and immune modulation. A review in Marine Drugs confirmed fucoidin activity against multiple influenza strains and an ability to stimulate natural killer cell production. Dried wakame is sold in most Asian grocery stores and rehydrates in cold water in 5 minutes. A small handful in daily miso soup provides a meaningful amount of fucoxanthin. Number 6. Edamame. Number 6 is edamame, immature soybeans harvested before the beans fully dry, boiled in salted water, and eaten directly from the pod. Records of soy cultivation in Japan reach back to the Yayoi period, roughly 300 BCE to 300 CE, and edamame as a snack became widespread during the Edo period. It is among the simplest preparations in Japanese cooking and among the most nutritionally complete. Edamame contains isoflavones, including genistein and didzine, phytoestrogens that bind to estrogen receptors and produce effects on bone density, cholesterol, and skin health in aging populations. In postmenopausal women, research consistently shows that regular isoflavone consumption reduces hot flash frequency and supports bone mineral density. A study published in Nutrients found that women consuming 70 milligrams of soy isoflavones daily for 12 weeks showed measurable improvements in skin elasticity and hydration, tracked via an estrogen receptor pathway active in skin tissue. 1 cup of edamame provides 17 grams of complete plant protein, 8 grams of fiber, and approximately 17 milligrams of isoflavones. Frozen edamame is sold in virtually every U.S. grocery store. It takes 3 minutes in boiling salted water and can be eaten plain, shelled into grain bowls, or blended into dips. Number 7. Tofu. Number 7 is tofu, solidified soy milk pressed into blocks that has been a primary protein source in Japan since the 8th century, when it arrived from China. Preparation ranges from silken tofu in desserts and soups to extra-firm blocks for grilling and stir-frying. In Okinawa, where centenarian rates rank among the highest in a country already known for longevity, tofu consumption per person runs triple the Japanese national average. That correlation has been studied carefully. Research published in Circulation tracked over 200,000 American adults and found that those eating at least one serving of tofu per week had an 18% lower risk of heart disease than those who rarely consumed it, even after controlling for overall diet quality. The isoflavone genistein in tofu has been shown to inhibit tyrosine kinase, an enzyme involved in the signaling pathway of several cancer cell types. Studies in Japanese populations consistently show lower rates of hormone-sensitive cancers compared to Western populations eating minimal soy, and the isoflavone content of tofu is the most frequently cited dietary explanation in the research literature. Half a cup of firm tofu provides 20 grams of complete protein and 25 milligrams of isoflavones. Number 8. Purple sweet potato. Number 8 is purple sweet potato, called beni imo in Okinawa, where it has been a caloric staple for centuries. Okinawa is one of the 5 original blue zones, regions with the highest concentrations of centenarians in the world. Before Western foods arrived after World War II, purple sweet potato accounted for roughly 67% of traditional Okinawan calories. The color tells you what it contains. Anthocyanins, the flavonoids responsible for the deep purple pigment, are powerful antioxidants that neutralize free radicals, the cellular damage mechanism most directly linked to biological aging. Research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that Okinawan purple sweet potato anthocyanins demonstrated free radical scavenging activity significantly higher than that of standard orange sweet potatoes. Anthocyanins have also been studied for their effect on neuroinflammation, with research suggesting a protective role against age-related cognitive decline. The resistant starch in sweet potato also selectively feeds bifidobacterium species in the colon, supporting the microbiome diversity associated with healthy aging. Purple sweet potatoes are available in most Asian grocery stores, bake and roast exactly like orange sweet potatoes, and need no preparation beyond scrubbing. Number 9. Shiso. Number 9 is shiso, Perilla frutescens, an aromatic herb in the mint family that grows easily in home gardens across the United States and is one of the most under-recognized functional herbs in Western food culture. In Japan, it has been used in cuisine and traditional medicine since at least the 8th century. Green shiso is served with sushi, sliced into salads, and wrapped around grilled fish. Red shiso is used to color and flavor umeboshi pickled plum. Both contain the same primary bioactive compound. Shiso is extremely rich in rosmarinic acid, a polyphenol shared with rosemary and sage that has been studied extensively for anti-inflammatory, antiviral, and anti-allergic effects. A randomized double-blind trial published in Experimental Biology and Medicine found that shiso extracts significantly reduce seasonal allergy symptoms, including nasal congestion, watery eyes, and itching compared to placebo. Separate research confirmed antiviral activity against influenza A and herpes simplex virus in laboratory models. Shiso also contains luteolin and apigenin, 2 flavonoids with confirmed anti-inflammatory effects at the cellular level. Shiso seeds are widely available, and the plant grows easily in containers or garden beds. A few fresh leaves added to meals several times a week provides meaningful amounts of rosmarinic acid. Number 10. Burdock root. Number 10 is burdock root, called gobo in Japanese, a long, slender root reaching 2 to 3 feet and cultivated in Japan for over 1,000 years. It is a staple in kinpira gobo, a sautéed side dish found in home cooking and bento boxes across the country. In the United States, burdock grows wild in most states as a roadside weed that almost nobody harvests. Burdock is one of the richest plant sources of inulin, a prebiotic fiber that selectively feeds bifidobacterium and lactobacillus species in the colon without being digested itself. Research published in Gut Microbes confirmed that inulin from food sources produced measurable increases in short-chain fatty acid production, which strengthens the intestinal lining and reduces systemic inflammatory markers. Burdock also contains quercetin and chlorogenic acid, both well-studied antioxidants linked to reduced oxidative damage and lower risk of chronic inflammatory disease. Fresh burdock root oxidizes quickly once cut and should be placed immediately in cold water with a splash of rice vinegar. Peel, slice thin, and sauté with sesame oil and soy sauce for the traditional kinpira preparation. Number 11. Ginger. Number 11 is ginger, Zingiber officinale, one of the oldest cultivated plants in Japan and Southeast Asia, with records of use going back over 5,000 years. In Japanese cooking, it appears as pickled gari alongside sushi, as a flavoring in broths, and as a warming tea throughout winter. The Japanese term shoga refers specifically to fresh ginger. The primary bioactive compounds are gingerols, which are responsible for fresh ginger's sharp heat, and shogaols, which form when ginger is dried or cooked and are more potent anti-inflammatory agents than their fresh counterparts. A meta-analysis published in Phytotherapy Research analyzed 12 randomized controlled trials and found that ginger supplementation significantly reduced serum CRP and IL-6, two primary markers of chronic systemic inflammation that drive most age-related disease progression. A separate review in the European Journal of Pharmacology identified gingerol's ability to inhibit prostaglandin synthesis, the same anti-inflammatory mechanism targeted by pharmaceutical NSAIDs. Fresh ginger keeps for weeks refrigerated and months frozen. 1 to 2 grams daily added to tea, stir-fries, or juice is the range used in most favorable research. Number 12. Black sesame. Number 12 is black sesame, Sesamum indicum in its dark-hulled form, with over 5,000 years of cultivation across Asia. In Japan, black sesame paste called kuroneri goma is eaten with rice, added to noodles, and stirred into dressings. Traditional Japanese medicine associated it with hair, skin, and kidney health for centuries, and modern research has identified the compounds responsible. Black sesame contains sesamin and sesamolin, lignans that have been studied for their ability to inhibit delta-5 desaturase, an enzyme involved in the conversion of dietary fats into the arachidonic acid pathway that drives inflammation. Research published in Bioscience, Biotechnology, and Biochemistry found that sesamin lowered LDL cholesterol and reduced markers of lipid peroxidation in animal studies, with supporting human data showing similar effects. The anthocyanins in the black hull have been studied for their antioxidant capacity, which exceeds that of white sesame by a measurable margin. Black sesame is also rich in calcium, magnesium, iron, and zinc, nutrients critical for bone density and immune function in aging populations. Black sesame seeds are sold in most Asian grocery stores. A tablespoon added to rice, oatmeal, or smoothies daily provides a practical and inexpensive way to consume these compounds consistently. Number 13. Umeboshi. Number 13 is umeboshi, Japanese pickled plums eaten in Japan since at least the 8th century, and documented as a remedy for fatigue, nausea, and digestive upset in Heian period text around 900 CE. They are intensely sour and salty, made by pickling unripe Japanese ume fruit in salt with red shiso leaves, then drying. A single umeboshi alongside rice is a complete traditional Japanese breakfast. Samurai carried them in the field as a food, medicine, and water purifier for centuries. The sourness comes from citric acid, which the body converts into energy via the citric acid cycle, and which has been studied for its ability to reduce lactic acid accumulation in muscles after exertion. Research has also identified compounds in umeboshi, including benzaldehyde and syringeresinol, that demonstrated antibacterial activity against Streptococcus and Helicobacter pylori in laboratory settings. The alkalizing effect of citric acid metabolism is frequently cited in Japanese wellness tradition as one reason umeboshi consumption supports digestion and energy levels, particularly in aging populations where stomach acid production often declines. Umeboshi are sold in most Asian grocery stores. Their sodium content is very high, so 1 or 2 per day is the traditional serving. Number 14. Kombu. Number 14 is kombu, Saccharina japonica and related species, the large brown kelp that forms the base of dashi stock and is arguably the most foundational ingredient in Japanese cooking. Without kombu, authentic dashi does not exist, and without dashi, most of Japanese cuisine loses its structural core. Kombu has been harvested from the cold coastal waters of Hokkaido for centuries and has been traded throughout Asia as a commodity food for almost as long. Kombu contains fucoxanthin, the sulfated polysaccharide that also appears in wakame, but in higher concentrations in kelp. Research in marine drugs confirmed fucoxanthin's antiviral properties and immune stimulation effects. Kombu is also the richest dietary iodine source available, with a small piece providing well above the recommended daily intake. Iodine is essential for thyroid hormone production, and thyroid function governs metabolism, body temperature, and cardiovascular function, areas where deficiency is more common than most people realize. Alginate, a fiber in kombu, has been studied for its ability to bind heavy metals and remove them through the digestive tract. Kombu is sold dried and requires only a brief soak or gentle simmer to extract its compounds. Number 15. Wasabi. Number 15 is wasabi, Eutrema japonicum, the sharp green condiment eaten with sushi and sashimi across Japan for centuries. Real wasabi is rare and expensive, ground fresh from the rhizome of a plant that grows in cold mountain stream beds. Most wasabi sold outside Japan is green-dyed horseradish, which shares some but not all of the bioactive compounds. Wasabi contains isothiocyanates, the sulfur compounds also found in broccoli, but in a form and concentration unique to the wasabi rhizome. The primary compound, abbreviated 6-HITC, induces apoptosis in cancer cells, inhibits platelet aggregation, and activates liver detoxification enzymes. A study published in Nutrition and Cancer found that 6-HITC inhibited the growth of leukemia cells in laboratory conditions at concentrations achievable through dietary consumption. Research from Waseda University found that wasabi consumption improved both long-term memory and working memory scores in adults over 60 in a double-blind trial, with the isothiocyanate fraction identified as the active component. Fresh wasabi is available from specialty producers online and in some Japanese markets. If using real wasabi, grate it fresh immediately before eating, as the isothiocyanates degrade within 15 minutes. Number 16. Yuzu. Number 16 is yuzu, Citrus junos, a small, intensely fragrant Japanese citrus fruit that has been cultivated in Japan for over 1,000 years and never successfully commercialized at industrial scale because it grows extremely slowly and resists the grafting techniques used to accelerate other citrus. The flavor is tart and aromatic, combining qualities of lemon, grapefruit, and mandarin orange in a way that cannot be replicated. The zest and juice are used in ponzu sauce, vinaigrettes, and hot baths taken during the winter solstice, a Japanese tradition called yuzu-yu. Yuzu is exceptionally high in hesperidin and nerirutin, two flavonoids that have been studied for anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, and cardiovascular effects. Research published in Nutrients found that hesperidin supplementation significantly reduced anxiety and improved sleep quality in adults with mild anxiety disorder over an 8-week trial. Separate research found that yuzu flavonoid extract reduced LDL oxidation markers and improved endothelial function in subjects with elevated cardiovascular risk. The vitamin C content of yuzu is approximately 3 times higher than that of lemon, gram for gram. Yuzu juice and zest are available in most Asian grocery stores in bottled form. A small amount added to dressings, marinades, or hot water with honey is the most practical daily use. Number 17. Maitake mushroom. Number 17 is maitake, Grifola frondosa, a large fan-shaped mushroom that grows at the base of oak trees in temperate forests across Asia, Europe, and North America. In Japan, it is called maitake, meaning dancing mushroom, because harvesters were said to dance with joy upon finding one in the wild. Single specimens can weigh over 50 pounds. It has been used in Japanese herbal medicine for centuries. The primary bioactive fraction is the D fraction, a specific beta-1, 6,1,3-glucan that has been studied more extensively than any other mushroom polysaccharide for immune function. Research published in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that maitake D fraction enhanced the activity of natural killer cells and macrophages, two key components of innate immune defense in cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy. A separate randomized trial found that maitake extract improved insulin sensitivity and reduced fasting blood glucose levels in postmenopausal women with metabolic syndrome. Maitake is one of the few mushrooms studied in human clinical trials rather than exclusively in animal models. Maitake is increasingly available fresh in U.S. supermarkets and widely available dried or as a concentrated extract. Number 18. Konnyaku. Number 18 is konnyaku, also called konjac, made from the corm of the Amorphophallus konjac plant, processed into a firm, gelatinous block eaten in Japan for over 1,500 years. It has almost no calories and no digestible carbohydrates, which makes it puzzling until you understand what it does contain. Glucomannan, the fiber that explains all of its documented effects. Konnyaku is composed almost entirely of glucomannan, a water-soluble fiber that forms a viscous gel in the digestive tract. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that glucomannan fiber reduced fasting blood glucose by slowing carbohydrate absorption from the entire meal, not just the konnyaku itself. A separate meta-analysis confirmed that glucomannan significantly reduced total and LDL cholesterol in subjects with elevated levels. The viscous gel also creates a prolonged sense of fullness, and research consistently shows that glucomannan-containing meals reduce caloric intake at subsequent meals, without requiring caloric restriction at the meal where it is consumed. Konnyaku blocks are sold in the refrigerated section of most Asian grocery stores, and are also available as shiitake noodles, which are now widely stocked in US supermarkets alongside standard pasta. Number 19. Turmeric. Number 19 is turmeric, curcuma longa, known as ukon in Okinawa, where it has been cultivated and consumed for centuries as a cooking spice and health remedy. While turmeric is most associated with Indian cuisine in the West, its use in Okinawa is well documented in the context of the island's longevity research. Blood curcumin levels in elderly Okinawans have been measured higher than in most other Asian populations. Curcumin, turmeric's primary bioactive compound, is one of the most studied natural anti-inflammatory molecules in research, with over 15,000 published studies. It inhibits NF-κB, a protein complex that controls the expression of genes involved in inflammation, and is chronically activated in most age-related diseases. Research published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry found that curcumin supplementation significantly improved memory and attention in non-demented adults over 18 months compared to placebo, with accompanying reductions in amyloid and tau signals on brain imaging. Curcumin has very low bioavailability on its own, and is dramatically improved by combining it with black pepper, which contains piperine. 1 teaspoon of turmeric with a pinch of black pepper in warm milk or broth provides the combination used in most of the favorable research. Number 20. Reishi mushroom. Number 20 is reishi, Ganoderma lucidum, called maitake in Japan, meaning 10,000-year mushroom, a name reflecting its association with longevity in East Asian medicine for over 2,000 years. Unlike culinary mushrooms, reishi has a woody, bitter texture and is consumed as a tea, decoction, or concentrated extract. Reishi contains a unique class of compounds called triterpenes, specifically ganoderic acids, which have been studied for their effects on immune modulation, liver protection, and sleep quality. Research published in Phytomedicine found that reishi polysaccharides and triterpenes together enhanced natural killer cell and T lymphocyte activity in cancer patients who had completed standard treatment. A separate trial published in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that reishi extract significantly improved fatigue scores and overall quality of life measures compared to placebo over 8 weeks. The compound adenosine in reishi has been studied for its calming neurological effects and may partially explain the traditional association with deep, restorative sleep. Those are 20 foods that show up in the research behind the longest-lived population on Earth. Everyone has been eaten in Japan for centuries, and everyone has modern scientific literature explaining why. If this kind of research is what you come for, give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people find this channel. See you in the next one.